Hey everyone, JT here. Welcome back to the channel. Now, for those of you that watched my video a couple of days ago about how Ofgem were, I would say, doing things behind consumers' backs, unfortunately, I'm back with another one of those videos because the UK government is now proposing to change how feed-in tariff payments are calculated. So if you're one of those early solar adopters that was part of the feed-in tariff program, you need to know about this. So let's start with a bit of background. What is the feed-in tariff scheme? Well, this was launched back in 2010 as a way of rewarding or helping to subsidize renewable electricity generation here in the UK. Back in 2010, solar systems were quite expensive. Batteries really weren't a thing there in your house. And to help offset those initial high costs, the government launched the feed-in tariff. Now, the feed-in tariff pays owners of those systems an amount of money per kilowatt hour generated, and a smaller amount of money for every kilowatt hour that they would export. And they were entered into a contract with the UK government for 20 to 25 years, depending on the time you joined the scheme. Now, this scheme has been closed to new applicants since 2019. So if you're not in the feed-in tariff scheme, none of what I'm about to tell you applies to you. But you may still find it interesting because it's starting to show a pattern of the UK government not willing to live up to its contractual obligations. And I'll come back to why I say that in a moment. Now, for those that did sign up, as I say, you would have had either a 20 or a 25-year contract. That contract would have specified an amount of money per kilowatt hour that you would be paid for generation, and you could actually use that kilowatt hour as well. Now, those payments were inflation linked. That means every year they would review them, and based on the retail price index, the RPI, the amount of those payments would go up. Now, just to give you an idea, back in 2010, when I signed up for the feed-in tariff, those payments were about, I think they were just shy of 30 pence per kilowatt hour. They're currently at about 70 pence per kilowatt hour. So over the last 15 years, they've kind of doubled. But when you look at the retail price index, they've basically followed that for the last 15 years. So what's happening now? Well, the government has launched a consultation proposing to change the way that they index how much these payments will rise each year. And they want to change that from the RPI, the retail price index, to the consumer price index. Now, the consumer price index still goes up every year because the cost of living gets more as we go on, but it is below the level of the RPI. So what they're basically saying is they want to reduce the amount that your payments will go up each year as part of your contract. Now, nowhere in the original FIT contract did it say that this was part of the process. So what they're proposing here is outside the bounds of those agreements that everybody signed up to. The outcome of this would mean that this would reduce your annual increases and lower your income from FIT, and obviously save the government some money. But the reality is they're not saving the government money because the FIT program is actually paid out of things like the green levies. So it is a charge that is put onto everybody's electricity bill and is used to compensate those that paid out large amounts of money in the early days to try and bring some renewable energy into the grid. So what are they proposing? Well, they're actually proposing two options. The first is to immediately switch from RPI to CPI. Actually, when I say immediately, from April 2026. So they're saying, they want to use the lower of the two, the CPI, which means that your change in payments, now the actual amount you get paid won't go down, but the increase that you would have got, just like you would get an increase to your pension or any other benefits that you might get, will go up by a smaller amount from April 2026. Or, as part of the consultation, they're offering a second option that says they would freeze the CPI, so you wouldn't get any increase until such time as the RPI and the CPI catch up. So that would mean that the CPI would continue to increase, but you wouldn't get any payments until such time as they come together. That's predicted to be around the mid 2030s. So it could mean that for those of you that are like me, who signed up in 2010, you might not see any further increases in your contract. If the contracts expire in 2035, as mine does, I wouldn't see any more increases in that cost for the next 10 years based on their predictions. Now, the consultation is offering these two options. So, which option would you like to choose? Well, the answer is I don't want either of those options. I want an option three, and that option three should be live up to your obligations under the original contract. But they're not asking for that as an option. They're giving you two options, hoping that people will look at it and choose the worst of two evils. They'll probably say, choose option one, immediately switch to CPI rather than RPI. We'll get less of an increase as we go on. Now, I'm sure those of you not on FIT payments are going, my heart bleeds for all of you. And I fully get it. The FIT scheme was a really bad idea on behalf of government back in 2010. And whoever put it in place did us all a favour. And that's not a phrase you hear very often when people are talking about government schemes. But every single person that signed up to it signed up to a contract, and what I would say is I want them to live up to that contract. Just because you sign up to a contract in any other part of your life, you don't get to change it just because you don't like the terms of it a few years later. So why does this matter? Why is it important to respond to this right now? Well, as I say, the contracts we signed them in good faith, and it allowed us to look at the cost of a system. And just to put things into perspective for you, back in 2010, a 2 kilowatt system, so 2 kilowatts of panel, 2.1 kilowatts peak of panels, plus a 2 kilowatt inverter, cost me just over £15,000. Nowadays, a 2 kilowatt system will cost you a few £1,000s, probably, maybe £3,000 or £4,000 installed max. So it was a significant investment back in the day. And one of the reasons that a lot of people chose to make those investments was because of the contract that the government put in front of them that said, this is the payments you will receive for the next 25 years. So those FIT contracts all signed in good faith, and they were linked to the retail price index for growth over the next 25 years. Changing that indexation mid-contract undermines trust. You wouldn't accept somebody changing a contract on you in any other part of your life. So why does the government get to do this? And the consultation is geared to give them the result that they want. Now, there are lots of people who basically borrowed money to be able to install a solar system, and they based it on the contract that they had with the government. And that's now the terms and conditions of that are now being changed. And this sets a dangerous precedent. If the government can just retroactively change contracts, then what's to stop them doing it with every other part of our life? What's to stop them just coming in and saying, we or another part of the British government, another party did this, we don't like it, therefore we're not going to live up to the contract that everybody signed. Now, here's the bit that I think is really wrong. And the reason is that you would think if they were going to make changes to the FIT program, the first thing the government should have done is contacted every single participant in this program. It's not like they don't know who we are. They send us money through our energy company, through our FIT provider. So they have a list of every single property, every single person is responsible for it, and the bank details of all of those people. But as far as I can tell, not a single person on the scheme has been contacted about this consultation. Unless you visit the government websites and you know where to go looking, you wouldn't even know that this consultation exists. The consultation started at the beginning of November. It expires in the second week of December. So it's only a 6-week period, and their plan is to make a decision and implement it by the 1st of April next year. There's roughly 850,000 FIT owners who risk losing income because of this. And the likelihood is they will lose that income because they didn't even know this was happening behind their backs. Because of the way the questions have been structured, it's going to really skew the results. The government will get the answer it wants because it's basically offering you two bad options and saying, which one do you want? Do you want the not quite so bad version where you'll get a smaller increase, or do you want the version where you won't get an increase at all? Well, guess which one people are going to choose. And then they're going to say, based on the results of our consultation, this is the option that everybody said was the good one. This is the one we're going to implement. They got what they wanted. So what can we do? So if you are on a FIT contract, you are known as a FIT generator, you need to respond to this by the 12th of December 2025. It is currently the 12th of November, so we have exactly 1 month to be able to respond to this. I will put a link on the screen. I'll also put a link in the description below of where you can go. You can read the consultation document. You can respond to it. There is also an email address. Now, my recommendation is do not respond to the survey, because you'll only get the option 1 or option 2, is email the address that I'll put on the screen now. It's ro@energysecurity.gov.uk, and be very, very clear that you want them to live up to their existing contract. Tell them that you oppose any changes to existing contracts without, at least bare minimum, a negotiation of that contract, because if they want something for us to change the contract, we should be able to get something from them. What that is, I'll leave that up to you. Contracts signed under the RPI need to be kept as agreed, because if they're not, they're opening themselves up to court cases for breach of contract. And really, whoever designed this, you need the Yes Minister Award for polling, because this is a very, very unfair consultation where you're basically offering only 2 options, both of them bad, one of them slightly less bad, in the hope that everyone will choose that option. So in wrapping this up, if you're in the FIT scheme, this will impact your pocket. You need to do something about this right now. The government has to keep up with its promises. If it's willing to just carte blanche change contracts without speaking to the people who actually signed on to those contracts, then what's next? Where will they come for your money next? If you've seen this message, please pass it on to anyone else you know who is a FIT owner. There's probably thousands of people out there who don't come on YouTube, don't go on social media, will have no idea that this is happening. Please, please, please help share this message with other FIT owners. And remember, the deadline is the 12th of December 2025. And if you do email them, demand an option 3. And that option 3 should be honor your contracts. Anyway, I hope this video has been informative. If you do have any questions, do hit me up in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer them. I will obviously be responding to this and demanding an option 3 as well. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Okay, so I hope this was useful. And if I'm lucky, I will see you back here really soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.